have programs, we like to begin programs with recitation of the Quran. And it's very relevant to what we're going to discuss today as well, because the Quran is a means of shifa. The Quran, brings peace to the heart. So, inshallah, to begin, I will put all Muhammad Kadami to compose, inshallah, recite a portion of the Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى أما من استغنى فأنت له تصدى وما عليك ألا يزكى وأما من جاءك يسعى وهو يخشى فأنت عنه تلهى كلا إنه تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة بأيدي سفرة كرام بررة قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره ثم إذا شاء أنشره كلا لما يقض ما أمره فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan for the recitation. Inshallah, Muhammad is also attempting to memorize the whole Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him hafiz of the Quran and make him complete his Quran. Alhamdulillah, today we have also two other guest reciters. Okay, so all the way from my hometown, inshallah, we have Sulaiman Abdul Rahman. I'll call forward Sulaiman first, inshallah. Sulaiman, inshallah, he has memorized how many ajza of the Quran? 8 ajza of the Quran. And how old are you? 8, 9, inshallah. So he's going to recite some Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يعقلون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كبير إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كبير إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, excellent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also made memorizing the remaining portion of the Quran easy for Sulaiman. It's amazing to see, mashallah, such young children, 8, 9 years old, reciting Quran with such beauty. It takes a lot of commitment and dedication and time to do this, adults who have reached old age, they're striving to learn to recite the Quran, they would appreciate this because they know to get to a level of reciting Quran like this is not easy. And now I call forward Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rahman, mashallah, has memorized the whole Quran. And how old are you, Abdul Rahman? 12 years old, mashallah. Okay. So again, it's an inspiration for not only for the young children, for adults as well. We can all do this. We can all memorize the Quran, right? So let's, inshallah, listen to Abdul Rahman recite some verses of the Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى الرحمن على العرش استوى له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى وهل أتاك حديث موسى إذ رأى نارا فقال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بقبس أو أجد على النار هدى فلما أتاها نودي يا موسى إني أنا ربك فاخلع نعليك إنك بالوادي المقدس طوى صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, excellent. Such beautiful recitation from our guest speaker. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instill within our hearts love for the Quran, dedication for the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create in the Ummah the likes of Abdul Rahman and Sulaiman and Muhammad who have the passion and desire to learn the Quran, thereafter to come up here and recite the Quran is not easy things, inshallah. We also have the third, what's your name? Muhammad, inshallah. So how old are you, Muhammad? 9. He's also going to recite 13. 13, sorry. He's also going to be reciting a portion of the Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قاسم تلك آيات الكتاب المبين نتلو عليك من نبأ موسى وفرعون بالحق لقوم يؤمنون إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم يذبح أبناءهم ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضعيه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين فالتقطه آل فرعون ليكون له عدوا وحسنا إن فرعون وجنودهما كانوا خاطئين فالتقطه آل فرعون ليكون لهم عدوا وحسنا إن فرعون وهامان وجنودهما كانوا خاطئين وقالت امرأة فرعون قرة عين لي ولك لا تقتلوه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا وهم لا يشعرون صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, Surah Al-Qasas, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Muhammad Hafiz of the Quran. Is completed, mashallah, excellent. Inshallah. We need more youngsters to be engaged in memorizing the Quran, learning the Quran. And what surprised me as well, mashallah, these youngsters, they also learn Arabic. They went to Egypt for a couple of years, they learn Arabic. This is the Lughat al-Quran, this is the language of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the language of the Quran. I mean, this is what's needed in the Ummah nowadays, right? We become very happy when our children become, graduate from university, get a master's or PhD, but this is true, honor. We should be happy and we should appreciate youngsters memorizing the Quran, subhanAllah, like this. It's a miracle, living miracle in our day and age where children are interested even in reading the Quran, but you have youngsters who are memorizing the whole Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all these children and make them a means of the Quran spreading throughout the four corners of the world. Inshallah, today is the last day here, so that we're going to be turning back. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Moving on to the program, inshallah. So as the brothers can see, inshallah, we have a few slides prepared for this topic, sadness, depression, and anxiety in Islam. Now, first and foremost, I am not a psychologist. I have no qualification in psychology, nor am I going to diagnose anyone with depression or anxiety, nor am I going to talk about the clinical aspect of these things. I have studied very briefly educational psychology, part of my educational studies, but nothing to do with sadness, depression, and anxiety in clinical terms. Now, we all know that in clinical terms, these illnesses do exist. Like, people will debate the fact that do they exist and can they be diagnosed by doctors with anything that is mental. It's not physical, and it's very hard to put a thumb on it and say for sure that this is diagnosed depression and things like this. They have signs, they have symptoms. But in Islam, it's amazing because Islam talks about all aspects of life, even the developmental stages of life of a human being growing from birth to maturity to adulthood. Islam talks about these things. Okay? And there's a famous, not famous, but there's a psychologist from America, Dr. Aisha Utz, who has written a book called Psychology in Islam. A very good book if you want to learn about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran talks about psychology and how humans develop and what affects their psychology and what affects their mindset. Okay? So the Quran is a book of guidance and it guides us in all aspects of life. Okay? And part of it is feeling sad. Now, sadness, my dear brothers and sisters, okay, it's a natural human feeling. We all have this. Is there anyone here that does not feel sad? Just checking, we all have humans here, right? Everyone feels sad. It's normal, right? It's normal to feel sad, right? Because we're humans and we have emotions. Right? Depression, again, low-level depression. Right? We have a doctor over there. Everyone will go through low-level depressions in their life as well, which won't significantly harm, their day-to-day tasks. And this is an offshoot of feeling sad. Again, nothing problematic about this, right? Now, anxiety, right? Researchers, again, empirical studies done on people who have depression. More than half of those who are diagnosed with depression have anxiety, right? It all comes from the root, which is sadness, feeling sad, right? Now, what is sadness? The next slide, inshallah. So, my question to the brothers over here, sisters over here, if I was to ask you without trying to read everything that's there, right? What is sadness? How would you describe sadness? Anyone? What does sadness mean to you? Being upset. It's right, but explain this feeling. Let me go be a bit more specific. Right? What would make you upset? Anyone? Hope from what? You read the board, mashallah. I'm joking, brother. Yes. Fear of anything, animal, danger. Yes, very good. Come on, we all feel sad, right? We all feel sad, right? What makes us sad? Yes. Yes, Iman.
Losing something, for example.
Losing something, excellent. We're getting somewhere, right? Losing something. Something or someone losing. We feel upset, right? Yes. Right? Being perfectionist, wanting everything to go your way and it doesn't, and you feel sad. Excellent, right? What makes us sad? Yes.
When things are not according to our desire.
No, when things are not in accordance to our desire. Excellent. These are excellent points because we're going to actually discuss these exact points later on. Okay. So what is sadness is when we have this emotion within us, right? When we don't get what we want, when we lose something, things like this happen, we feel sad. It's an emotion. Now Allah in the Quran makes reference to this, right? We all know, right? Even in Surah Al-Qasas that Muhammad recited as well, Allah says to the mother of Musa alayhi salam, وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. He said, put Musa into the ocean and we will protect him. He said, وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. Don't be scared and don't have huzn, right? And in the few verses after that in Surah Al-Qasas, he also says that Musa alayhi salam collected this baby Musa, right? Sorry, Fir'aun collected this baby Musa alayhi salam, and Allah says, لِيَكُونَ لَهُمْ عَدُوًا وَحَزَنًا, so that he can become a means of sadness for him later on. Allah made this happen, that the wife of Fir'aun took the baby into their care, so that later on Musa alayhi salam would be the one to overthrow him, right? And it'd be a means of sadness for him. So what is sadness? Again, the first reference made in the Quran about sadness is here, where in Surah Al-Baqarah Allah mentions قُلْنَا اهْبِطُوا مِنْهَا جَمِيعًا فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَنِ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. In Surah Al-Baqarah, right towards the beginning, when Allah talks about Adam alayhi salam, how Adam alayhi salam ate from the fruit and they were in Jannah, him and his wife Hawa, they were in Jannah, but Shaitan, influenced, Adam alayhi salam into misinterpreting the hukm of Allah Azza wa Jal of eating from the fruit, and then Allah caused them to descend to the earth. And Allah said, قُلْنَا اهْبِطُوا مِنْهَا جَمِيعًا. We said, go down from here, all of you. Meaning, Adam alayhi salam, Hawa and also Shaitan. فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى. And he said, then should some guidance come to you from me, those who follow my guidance, فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ, those who follow my guidance, فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. They shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. This is the first reference of the Quran, right? So this is the first huzn that took place. Okay? So the first sadness that took place on earth was what? You can explain. Or the first sadness that took place in this world. Yes. But who was sad? Who was sad? Iblis was sad. Iblis was happy, right? Who was sad? Adam was sad. What was Adam and Islam sad about? Eating on the fruit. Okay? So why was he sad on that? Yes. Allah was not happy with this action. Okay? This is important. Keep this in mind, right? The root of our sadness, right? The cause of our sadness should be because we have disobeyed Allah. Right? We're going to discuss this further a bit more later on. But the root of our sadness should be when we disobey Allah. Right? Not when we wanted to disobey Allah, we wanted to go to the cinema, right? And then we went there and it's closed, and then we get sad. Right? We're about to go to drink some alcohol, and then we go there, they run out, and we get sad. Right? This is not sadness, or it shouldn't be your sadness. Right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said in a dua that he used to make, اللهم اجعلنا من الذين إذا أحسنوا استبشروا وإذا أساءوا استغفروا. Allah make us from those who, when they do good deeds, استبشروا, they become happy. Right? And when they do wrong, evil, they do istighfar, get sad. When they do wrong, they feel regretful, remorseful, and they ask for repentance. Okay? So huzn, okay, Allah says, فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Those who are on guidance will never feel khawf, or they would never feel huzn. Listen carefully. Those who follow the guidance of Allah, they will not feel khawf, nor would they feel huzn. What is khawf and what is huzn? Khawf, okay, according to Imam Alusi, rahmatullahi, is al-faza' fil mustaqbal. Khawf means to worry about the future. Anxiety, right? When a person feels, am I going to get a good career? Am I going to become a hafiz of the Quran? Am I going to, be able to buy my own house, right? And for some people, it could be so many things. Am I going to be able to get married in the future? Would I be able to have children, right? They have this hope, right? It could be for some people that they have all these things and their hope is losing them, right? They have a good house, they have a good job, right? They have family. They're scared. Their hope is that they might lose these things. And for some, the hope is that they're scared that they will not be able to achieve their objectives in life. And for some, it will be to lose mahbub, to lose that which is beloved to them. Okay, as the Mufassirun have mentioned. This is one thing, hope. Okay? And huzn. Okay, huzn is taken from hazan, which means that when a person has an overpowering concern and thought, okay, in his mind, and due to this, he feels sad. Okay? And this huzn usually is to do with things in the past. Somebody has lost a child, somebody has lost a father, somebody has lost a mother, somebody has lost his wife, the wife has lost her husband, right? They find huzn in their heart, right? They find huzn in their heart. And they, feel sad about this, right? Now this is what we call huzn, something which they have lost, or a concern, a thought which lingers in their mind about something they have lost in their mind. This is what we call huzn. Okay? Huzn. Now, some scholars, they have mentioned khawf, fear of the future, and huzn, okay, feeling sad over the past. Some of them have said they are both the same thing. Both are the same thing. Now, Allah makes reference to this in the Quran in many places about huzn. Allah says, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. That indeed the awliya of Allah, the friends of Allah. Who are the awliya of Allah? Anyone? Who are the friends of Allah? Awliya of Allah. We are Muslims, right? Allah says, Allahu waliyyul ladina amanu. Allah is the friend of the believers. Isn't it? Right? We are all the friends of Allah. Anyone that's a Muslim, anyone that's a believer, he is a friend of Allah. Right? يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. Allah takes us from the darkness to the light. Right? And Allah says those who are friends of Allah, لا خوف عليهم, they don't live in anxiety. ولا هم يحزنون, they don't grieve over the past. They don't grieve over the past. Okay? This has two meanings. Okay? So you can say that Muslims, they do grieve. Okay? You can say Muslims, yeah, they do have anxiety over the future. Right? So the question is, Allah is saying that the friends of Allah, they have no hope and they have no huzn. Right? And Allah says over here, فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Whoever follows my guidance, he has no hope and he has no huzn. But hold on a second, we do feel these things. And the answer to this is, the scholars have mentioned two things. Number one, scholars have said that we feel these emotions, but because we are patient and we know that Allah will reward us, right? We remain steadfast and patient on these things. Right? We have tawakkul on Allah about the future, and we, have ihtisab from Allah about the things that we have lost in the past. Right? Allah will reward us for our struggle. So for them, really, they don't have hope and huzn because they have something to replace that. For hope, they have tawakkul on Allah. For the huzn, they have the reward of Allah for doing sabr. So they really don't have hope and huzn because they have something to substitute that. So a believer doesn't live with this. Somebody who doesn't have faith, somebody who doesn't have religion, they have nothing to substitute these two things. They live in anxiety. They live in the past forever. They've lost somebody, and that's it. They have no one to turn to. They have no reason to believe that after they die, they will be resurrected and they will be with their mother, they will be with their father, and they will live in Jannah, in paradise forever with their family. And this brings a smile into a person's face, right? That they live forever with their family members in Jannah. May Allah make us from this. So, as believers, we don't have khawf and huzn, right? Because we have Islam, we have Allah. And we don't live by khawf and huzn. And the second meaning to this is that Allah is saying that in this world we will have khawf and huzn, but in the akhirah, the believer will have no khawf and huzn. Right? We know this from the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when a person is dying, he is in his deathbed, right? When a person is dying, he's breathing his last, right? The angels come descend. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. But when a person is dying, right? But he was somebody who said, Rabbuna Allah, my Lord is Allah. And he had iman, he had faith, he had religion. ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, and he stayed steadfast on this. Angels will descend at the time of death. And what would the angels say to this Muslim? What would the angels say to this believer? لَا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. That don't fear and don't be sad. Because you are going to Jannah now. You are going to paradise now. You've got nothing to worry about in the future or anything that you are leaving behind. Because you are going to Jannah. Okay? So khawf and huzn always come together. They've been mentioned in various places in the Quran. Okay? But for a believer, these two concepts, yes, you might feel sad for a moment. You feel sad, it's fine. But you remain sabr as a sabir. You practice patience. And you substitute this, bad feeling with hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So this is what we call khawf and huzn, and Allah makes reference to this in the Quran. Next slide, inshallah. Okay, not many slides, inshallah. We're going to go through them. We'll go through some questions Q&A, inshallah. So some verses of the Quran. Allah says in the Quran, مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنثَىٰ وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُم بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ Allah says in Surah Al-Nahl, whoever male or female has acted righteously while being a believer, we shall certainly make him live a good life and shall give such people their reward for the best of what they used to do. Okay? If you're a believer, you're a mu'min, you're a Muslim, and you do good deeds, you pray your salah, you give charity, you help the people, you do everything that is right, know that you will have a peaceful and good life. Allah promises for somebody who does good deeds a good life. Right? We all want a good life. We're all striving to have a peaceful and good life. Right? Although we think that in money lies a good life, is our understanding, but the reality is the secret recipe to having a good life is doing good deeds. This is what Allah is telling us. Whoever does from the male and female does good deeds, they will live a good life. You want to live a good life, right? After bringing Iman on Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? You continue to do good deeds. You continue to do good deeds. Okay? The next verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Do not lose heart and do not grieve, and you are the uppermost if you are believers. You will be overpowering the enemies as long as you are believers. Allah consoles the believers and tells us that as long as you are believers, as long as you have Iman, as long as you have faith, you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. وَاصْبِرْ وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَلَا تَحْزَنْ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا تَكُ فِي ضَيْقٍ مِّمَّا يَمْكُرُونَ. This verse in Surah Al-Nahl was revealed by Allah when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was being afflicted. The people around him were being tortured, persecuted, things like this. Allah is telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be patient. Your patience is bestowed by none but Allah, and do not grieve over them. Do not grieve over them, and do not be in distress for what they devise. Meaning, Allah is saying that we are in control. Nowadays one of the biggest problems why people get depressed is because they overthink on matters which are not in their control. Right? They don't have control over the situation, but they are overly thinking what's going to happen. They've written their exams, right? Their results will come out in a month, but they're so depressed because they don't know if they're good or bad. They don't have control over it. Leave it to Allah after you've done the exam. Leave it to Allah after you've done something. You tried your best, you leave the rest to Allah. Right? But overthinking, don't worry about them. Do not grieve over such people. Right? Next. Right? Allah says in the Quran as well, إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَيَّدَهُ بِجُنُودٍ لَمْ تَرَوْهَا. This is referring to the Hijrah, when Rasulullah migrated with Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to Medina. They were being chased by the Meccan kuffar, the disbelievers, and they were trying to assassinate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And to avoid the kuffar and the disbelievers, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, they both went into Ghar Thawr, right, into the cave of Thawr, and they were hiding away from the disbelievers. Now, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu saw the enemies, right, in the opposite direction, and had they looked up, right, they would have seen Abu Bakr and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the cave. So he became worried, right? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu became worried. If they see us, if they look up, they would see us and they would capture us. Okay. Now Allah knew what was happening, and He revealed these verses. Right? إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. Right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw Abu Bakr, he's worried that the enemies are going to see us, they're going to capture us. What did he say to his companion, to Abu Bakr? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what? لَا تَحْزَنْ, don't worry. Do not grieve, don't worry. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا, Allah is with us. Allah is with us. And just on this point, my dear brothers and sisters, you ever feel sad? We all have sadnesses, right, in our hearts. We've lost a loved one, we've done something we regret in the past. We have grieved over somebody. Whenever you feel sad, you tell yourself this. That's that inna Allah ma'ana. Allah is with us. Right? We have Iman, we have Islam. What do we have to be for? We have Allah with us. And Allah is all great, He's all powerful. Allah, right, is all loving. He's Ar-Rahman, He's Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud. He loves us. He's Al-Kareem, the most generous. Allah is with us. We're believers. We have faith in Allah. We have no need to be sad. Okay? And remember, who creates these emotions within our hearts? Right? Shaitan, yes, he whispers to us and tries to, because remember, this is a very good point. I'll briefly touch on this. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, right? He talks about huzn as well, right? And he says that it's one of the ploys of shaitan, of the devil, right? To make people engrossed in sadness. We're all going to feel sad, it's fine, it's normal, it's good. Because we're human, right? It helps us grow, right? But what shaitan does, he tries to make this sadness eat a person away, right? A person becomes enveloped within this sadness. Wherever you see him, he's always thinking about the sadness. He's, never smiling, right? This is a ploy of shaitan. We don't think like this, right? As Muslims, we think that yes, there's one sadness, but there are hundreds and thousands of things that I can be happy over. Right? There are hundreds and thousands of things I can be happy over. So what if one thing has gone wrong? Okay? And this is where we find, Urwa bin Zubair, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? The son of Zubair bin Awam, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? And the nephew of Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, right? In one occasion, in 1 week, he lost one of his limbs, right? His leg had to be amputated, right? On the same occasion, he had 7 children, right? And one of them died, right? So then somebody approached him and said, "Oh, Ibn Zubair, it must be very difficult for you. You lost one of your limbs and you have lost one of your children." Remember, as Muslims, as believers, we believe that everything that we have is from Allah. The health, the wealth, right? The children that we have, everything we have, Allah has blessed us with. If Allah decides to take one, that's His decision. But Allah is so merciful, He mentions in a Sahih authentic narration that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes one of your beloved family members away from you, right? We love our family. Allah says when He takes somebody who you love away from you, then Allah says that He promises nothing less for this person, for his sabr and his patience, except for Jannah. The person loses somebody, you're going to die anyway. But Allah says that if I take somebody beloved away from you in this world, be patient, have sabr. Right? Have sabr, because what will happen is if you are patient, right, then Allah will give you Jannah in return. And a famous quote of Ali radiallahu ta'ala, which will give us all a bit of peace, right? And he mentions that, look, when something bad happens to you, you get upset, right? Ali radiallahu anhu says that when something bad happens to you, you have 2 choices, right? A musibah, a difficulty, you face with some difficulty, whatever. You lose a family member, you lose your job, could be anything. You can respond to this in 2 ways. The first way of responding to this is, right, you become sad, and whilst becoming sad, you don't do sabr. Okay? You don't do sabr, you don't be patient. Okay? And the second way of responding to it is you become sad, there's nothing wrong with this, like I mentioned, it's human emotion, but whilst being sad, you practice sabr, patience. Ali radiallahu anhu says, both of these individuals, right, at the end of it, right, would they retrieve what they have lost? No, they won't. Whether you are sad and you don't practice patience, or whether you are sad and you practice patience, in both cases, the problem you are facing will not be uplifted, or it will be uplifted with time, right? Allah always removes difficulties. The passage of time, everything is cured, right? But the difference between the one who was patient is that he'll be rewarded for every single second. And who knows, إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُم بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ, right? They will be rewarded without any remuneration, right? Allah will tell the people of Jannah that Yawm al-Qiyamah, those who are Sabirun, that enter Jannah, and there will be no hisab for you, right? So we have two ways of responding to things. Now my question to the brothers over here is that what is patience? When you tell somebody, oh, something bad has happened, be patient. What does that mean? Anyone? It's easy to say it, right? Be patient, have sabr. But what does sabr mean? What does it mean to be patient? Anyone? So somebody has lost a family member, somebody has lost their job, somebody's failed their exams. Then you tell them, don't worry, inshallah, everything will be okay. That accent, don't worry, right? You tell them, have patience. What do we mean? So we told him to have patience. What's expected of him to do now? Don't overreact in what way? So what can you not do?
The family members of hospitals, people cry over God.
Crying, there's nothing. The Prophet is going to cry, right? The hadith about him and Ibrahim. When the Lamb who passed away, right? He was crying. The Sahaba saw him crying. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what's this? Right? And then the Prophet said, Inna al-ayna tadma' wa inna al-qalba yahzan. Right? Wa la naqulu illa ma yurdi rabbana. Right? Our eyes will cry, our hearts will grieve. When humans, right, is normal. But the key part is what I said towards the end. Right? I said we will not say anything that goes against anything that will displease our Lord. Right? This is part of something. Not saying anything that will displease Allah. When somebody passes away, they say, oh Allah, why my husband? Oh Allah, why my son? Allah knows why. You're questioning the authority of Allah. And this opens the door to so many problems. Anxiety, grief, and depression. Why? But Allah knows why. Right? Okay? So be patient. What does that mean? Number one, we know not to say anything which goes against, right, displeases Allah. That's one thing. What else does it mean to be patient? This will help us, my dear brothers and sisters. When we feel sad, when we are told to be patient, we know how to be patient. What else can we do to not be, to not go against patience? Sorry? That's right. Rida bil qada, right? Being happy with the decree of Allah, right? Being happy with the decree of Allah. Okay, we're going to go through these things, inshallah. Okay? We'll talk more about this. It's going to come ahead, inshallah. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. Sorry, before you go to the next slide, it says over here, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. With the grace of Allah, His mercy, this book has been revealed, so they should rejoice in it. It is much better than the wealth which they accumulate. Remember, I mentioned in the beginning that if you sin, you should feel sad. And when you do good, you should feel happy. Right? So Allah is saying this, that with the mercy of Allah, under the mercy of Allah comes all these blessings. Right? The blessing of the eyesight, the blessing of being able to smell. Right? When COVID hit, they lost their taste. I can't taste anything, food doesn't taste good anymore, right? Being able to hear, being able to walk, being able to grab, having sensation, having hair, right? These are great blessings of Allah. Ask anyone that loses any one of these how much they grieve over this, right? So when you remember the blessings of Allah, this makes it easier to be patient. If you lose one, remember the rest of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And contemplate over the blessings of Allah. Next slide. Okay, so what makes us sad or anxious? Okay, here are a few points and We can all quickly read through this, okay? Scholars have written what makes us sad, okay? Number one, sins. If you are somebody who does not suffer from any of the below or the list that's coming up ahead, and you're thinking, why am I sad? I have family, I have a good work, I have, stable income, I have everything, right? But why am I feeling sad? Why is there emptiness in my heart? Why is it that, I struggle to smile, or I smile just for the sake of it? Well, the number one reason what makes us sad is sins. Disobeying Allah. Right? Disobeying Allah. Allah is the creator of everything. Allah can change, right, the condition of the heart. Right? This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Right? O the one who turns the heart, keep me on the straight path. Allah has control over the conditions of the heart. You keep sinning, disobeying Allah, but you expect to be happy, impossible. The number one root reason for being sad, feeling depressed, is because you're disobeying Allah. Right? Disobeying Allah. This is why the Anbiya, the prophets, they were the happiest of people. Right? Look at the Prophet ﷺ. He was born as a yatim. Right? He didn't have his father passed away before birth. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his father passed away before birth, so he was born a yatim, right? After a few years, right, 6 years, his mother passes away, right? Then his grandfather takes him into care. His grandfather passes away. Then his uncle Abu Talib takes him into care, right? In the 10th year of prophethood, his uncle passes away, right? And then he's married, right? And the only person who's supporting his cause was the uncle and his wife Khadija. Right? And his wife also passes away. Right? And then we find his other uncle who accepted Islam. Right? Right? Who was his uncle that accepted Islam? Which one of the uncles of Rasulullah accepted Islam? Hamza. I'm Abbas. MashaAllah. Great. His uncle, Abbas accepted Islam later on. Way later, right? Hamza was one of the first to accept Islam. He is made martyred, right? He loses his uncle. Everyone in his life, he loses them. He's having children, they all are passing away in infancy. Look at his life. Is he sad? No. He is the most ambitious man in the world. Until today, no one can match the passion and ambition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is why Michael Hart, in his list of the most influential people in history, he wrote Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam number one. He didn't let all these sadnesses overtake his life. He was born a yatim, he didn't say, I didn't have a father, and the rest of his life moan about it. It's sad, yes, we accept it. But it's the decree of Allah. You stay away from sin, right? You can be enveloped with sadnesses all around you. Rasulullah, his 23 years of life, he was in battle because the non-Muslims wanted to destroy Islam. They failed. They failed greatly, despite them being a handful, a small number, they still failed. Right? Islam flourished. If Muslims were just worried and concerned and living in grief, this would not have happened. Right? Even if conditions of sadness surround you, you still can be happy because you have Allah. So number one, don't sin. Number two, don't violate the rights of the people. Okay? You are praying salah, you're going to the masjid, you're giving zakat, you're going for hajj, but then you're rude to your parents. You don't listen to your mother, you don't listen to your father. One of the greatest sins, right, for anyone is to be disobedient to their parents. Right? They are doing everything right. They got everything right. But then they are disobedient to their mother or father. Do you think they're going to live a happy life? No. Right? And I don't want to go too much in detail about this, but The Quran and Sunnah, Imam Suyuti Rahmatullahi mentions, is explicit on this. That when children disobey parents, right? You know other sins, right? Allah can choose whether to punish people in this world or punish them in the akhirah, the day after, or choose to forgive them. Is that understanding? If I disobey Allah, Allah can choose to punish me in this world before I die, or choose not to punish me and punish me in the akhirah. May Allah save us from the punishment of Allah. Or choose to forgive me, Yawm al-Qiyamah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive Allah. But Imam Suyuti narrates a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that if a child is disobedient to his parents in this dunya, he will face the wrath of Allah in this dunya, in this world. So you should always be good to your parents. Don't disobey your parents. Because the punishments are severe. In this world, you will feel it. And we know there's a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, right? About Jurayj. It was Abid. I don't want to go into the story, it's very long. Who, in Salah, his mother was calling him. He was praying Salah, and his mother was calling him. So he was in narration. And he was an optional Salah. And he comes in and, in fiqh, we know if it's optional Salah, and your mother or your father will get upset, this answer and respond to them, then you should break your Salah and listen to your parents. That's how much rights Islam has given to parents, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. Is that understanding? So this Jurayj, he thought, okay, I'm praying Salah, maybe after Salah I listen. But the mother was somebody who would she was sensitive, she would get angry. So she made dua against the son. And she made a bad dua against the son. Right? And what had happened is Allah made this dua apply on Jurayj. I'm not going to go into the details of this. Okay? It's a very scary thing. Okay? So violating the rights of the people. Number 3, these are a few lists scholars have mentioned. These are reasons why we might feel sad or anxious. Number 3, accumulation of work pressures. Sometimes you're going to uni or study, deadlines, assignments, exams, right? Too much inability to control them, loss of desire to perform, and failure. Many of us can relate to this, right? We've got so much work, right? We have to go to school, we have to do this, and it masses on top of us, and this becomes a problem for us. Okay? Number 4, the absence of family harmony, the instability of family life, the presence of many problems between the husband, wife, and children, and the absence of harmony. Huge reason why people are sad nowadays. Because in family, there's no structure. In family, there's no love. In family, they keep fighting. This is why in Islam, there is huge importance in Silatul Rahim. When you maintain family ties. If a person does not maintain family ties with his parents, with his brothers, how could it be a Muslim doesn't talk to his brother or his sister? A Muslim, no way. A Muslim should love his siblings. A Muslim loves his parents. A Muslim loves his uncles and aunties. Even if they're bad to him, Islam, Rasulullah says, a Sahabi came and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have relatives, right? He says, أُحْسِنُ إِلَيْهِمْ وَيُسِيئُونَ إِلَيَّ. I am good to them, but they keep being bad to me. Can anyone relate here? Yeah. But this is very common. People tell me this all the time. I have relatives, I am good to them, but they are bad to me. Can I cut ties now? Right? It's a common question, right? Well, the answer is no. Family, that's the whole point. You can't cut ties with family. You can't. The Prophet ﷺ said, as long as you remain as you are, there will be angels making dua for you. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged you to do so. Okay? Family stability. My request to fathers and mothers, right? If you're married, right? For the sake of your children, have good times. Okay? Family instability is one of the major reasons why society is breaking down. Right? Husband, wife, they fight. The husband goes to work, over there he's in a bad mood, he's sad, he's depressed. So what happens in work? He fights with his work colleagues. Yeah? This can lead to him losing his job. He comes to the masjid, society, with his friends. He fights over there, he's sad, he's in a bad mood. He's not talking to people. He becomes antisocial. Islam is a social religion, right? We gather for salah, we go for hajj together, zakat, we give to the poor. We're very social. We are humans and social beings, and Islam encourages socializing. But then if you have problems at home, that will obviously affect society, right? So live together with love and peace. And if you have problems, then talk to one another, communicate, right? Bring in people that can help you. And if you are that person who's going to help somebody, don't side with one another and make this situation worse. There are people who come and become middlemen and they cause more problems. And you're not worthy of becoming the mediator between truth and don't. They don't take that responsibility, you make it worse. Okay, number 5, poor financial and economic the conditions, inability to provide these needs, debt accumulation, poverty, and lack of livelihood. These are reasons why people might feel sad. Okay? Now this about being poor, okay, it's not bad. You shouldn't feel sad for this. Right? It might be a reason why people feel sad, but you shouldn't. If you're poor, well, it's the decree of Allah. Allah decided for me to be poor, it's fine, I'm happy with that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was poor. Right? The Sahaba were poor as well. Not all of them, but some of them were poor. Right? Allah chooses who to give risk to. Right? Allah knows how much money and sustenance to give to whoever He wants. Right? Don't overly concern yourself about this. I need to become a millionaire before I'm 25. Right? Isn't it? I need to become a millionaire before I become 30. I need to own a couple of houses before I get married. Don't worry. Relax. Right? This is not because we live in a capitalistic world where the economy runs everything. Right? The education system is based on the economy, right? The government run the educational system, and the education system is built on how we can educate children to grow the economy, right? So obviously the children who are spending 9 hours in school, their main focus would be career, mind, income. That's all they're worried about. Well, there's more to life than this, my dear brothers. Family, living a peaceful life, eating good food, halal, tayyib, food. Right? There's so many things that you look forward to. Right? Don't fall into this rat hole of rat chase of just chasing the dunya, income. This is not what you have been created for. Okay? So if you feel sad for this long, you shouldn't be. Okay, next slide. Health problems, diseases and illnesses. This could be a reason why we're feeling sad, right? We're going through a disease, illness, we feel sad about this. Okay? Boredom, routine, and negative feelings dominate a person and the absence of goals in life. Right? Some people, they have no goal in life. Right? And I'm not going to do it here because it's stretching, we've got less time, inshallah. But when I ask people, usually children as well, what do you want to be? They have no idea. If you ask adults in life, what is your ambition? What's your goal? What do you want to achieve by the time you're 30, 40? You can say, I want to be a millionaire. Well, that's such a lowly, way of thinking, right? Because we can do much more, right? We can be much more for ourselves and for the community and for people, for mankind, right? Prophet ﷺ said, "Khayrun nasi anfa'uhum lin-nas." The best of people are those who are most beneficial to the people. So I can become somebody great and benefit so many people. Why limit it, right? So lack of goals in life. If you don't have goals in life, you have nothing to reach, nothing to wake up for in the morning, nothing to go sleep early in the night. Right? People sleeping very late, because they've got nothing better to do in the morning. Right? Lack of goals in life. And it's going to make you sad, it's going to make you depressed. Right? Exposure to disappointments, betrayals, and treachery from friends, colleagues, and relatives. This is something beyond our control. But it can make somebody sad. Right? In a family member, you love them, but then they betray you. You're going to feel sad, right? Right? You have to be patient on this. You don't have control over it. Right? Parents to the family and loved ones to travel and leave to distant places. Your family, they go far away and they live far away, like myself. Right? All my family is in London. Literally, all my family are here in Scotland. Right? So things like this, of course, you feel sad due to your distance from your family. Right? Some people are, here in the UK, their family are abroad in different places. They feel sad, it's normal, right? Sadness has no apparent cause, but rather the result of many accumulations of life's problems. Okay, next slide. Okay. The inability to achieve accomplishments and achieve success in life. Okay? People think that they're not successful, right? So they feel sad, right? Failure to meet human psychological needs such as the absence of sympathy and tenderness. Okay? This is actually quite common, although not everyone is affected by this. Right? I've consultations, private consultations with people from the community. Sometimes they come to me and say, I have problems. Sometimes some people, they have problems where they can't socialize with people. So one youngster was telling me that his problem, and he's crying, right? He's crying a lot. And I was like, what's wrong? Speak to me. What's happening? He goes, I can't feel emotion or sympathy towards anybody. Right? And obviously, I'm not a psychologist, like I mentioned. So I can't go into detail about what I said. What do you mean you can't feel? Because, okay, if I get bad news from my parents, well, I just carry on doing something else. It doesn't affect me. So, bad things weren't affecting his emotion, but lack of sympathy, right, was making him cry. Is everyone understanding? He's telling me that if he hears from his parents, let's just say one of their cousins passed away, or his dad lost his job, well, it doesn't affect him. He wouldn't cry, he wouldn't feel sad. But then when he was telling me about his situation, he was crying, because that affected him. So some people, when they see that they have lack of psychological needs, that makes them sad as well, right? Because that's how they are created, they have deficiencies within them. Okay? Fear for oneself or others that they may suffer any harm, and this feeling includes many obsessions related to the fear of death or illness. Okay, and the last point which over here is not relying on Allah Azza wa Jalla, okay, and to surrender to the wishes of a lack of tawakkul on Allah, right? Trusting Allah, leaving matters to Allah, right? Leaving matters to Allah. We don't rely on Allah, we rely on ourselves and we rely on others more than we rely on Allah. And this is one of our major problems, why we suffer from anxiety, why we suffer from sadness. In Allah, I leave the rest to Allah. Allah will take care of everything. And we need to keep telling ourselves this. Next slide. Okay. Now, what are the remedies? This is the important part. We're going to conclude now. Two more slides and we're finished. Okay. How do we make ourselves better? If you are going through sadness, you're going through depression, you feel anxiety a lot, what are the cures for this? Okay. Number one is dua. You pray to Allah, you pray to God. Rasulullah taught us many du'as which included sadness. Okay? He said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn wal-kasal wal-bukhl wal-jubn wa dala'i al-dayn wa ghalabati al-rijal. This narration is in Sahih Bukhari. That Prophet ﷺ said, Oh Allah, I ask your refuge from anxiety, wal-huzn, and from grief. Make this dua. It's very short. If you can't memorize the whole dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. Just this much. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. If you're suffering through sadness, when you go through sadness, make this dua to Allah. Allah will remove it from your life. Okay? And there's another narration which is Sahih. It's mentioned in the Muslim of Imam Ahmad, a Sahih narration by Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala. He said that ما أصاب أحدا قط هم ولا حزن فقال اللهم إني عبدك وابن عبدك وابن أمتك ناصيتي بيدك ماض في حكمك عدل فينا قضاء. It's a long dua. You hear this in probably Little Salah in the Quran du'as as well. It's a very long dua. But the Prophet ﷺ says that no one is afflicted with any anxiety or any grief except, and he reads this dua, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove this sadness from his heart. Go through the effort of memorizing this dua, right? Go through the effort. You want to cure yourself, but you don't want the remedy. You want to cure yourself, but you don't want the medicine. How is it going to work? Memorize these duas and recite them, inshallah. Okay. Number two, accepting the fact that this world is full of problems. Okay. Is this world going to be Jannah, paradise? No. Right? We are created in this world which is very small, and you will feel problems after problems. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said in Sahih Muslim, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." Right? For a believer, this world is like a prison. In prison, are you allowed to do what you want? Do you get the food that you want? Right? You're gonna face problems. So, for example, the world for a believer is like a prison. What does that mean? That you're chasing for a career. You want to pass your exams. You want this, but do you get it? No. It's like prison. You want the prisoner wants freedom. He doesn't get it. Right? So learn to accept this. Learn to accept that there will be things that you want in life. Well, in this world you won't get it. But Allah is so fair and just that He has prepared something better and greater. And if you are patient, He will give you not only what you wanted, even more in the afterlife. Right? Not only what you wanted, better and greater in the afterlife. For eternity. Right? So accept the fact that this dunya, you are going to face problems. Accept it. If you are, hampered as a child, told that, this world is full of love and joy and you're never going to feel any problems, then get ready to be disappointed and get ready to become sad and depressed. Because this is not the dunya. Dunya, you will face trials. Allah will test you. Right? وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. Allah says He will test us by, right? مِنَ الْخَوْفِ. Right? With khawf, بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ. Right? With some anxiety. Right? He will remove safety from us, and then we start to feel fear for our lives, fear for our children. Right? وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ. We will lose our jobs. He will take away wealth from us. And for some, He will take away lives, meaning their loved ones. It's a test from Allah. Get ready for this. Accept that this will happen. Everyone here should know that either they will lose their family members or they themselves will die. Accept it. It'll be easier when it comes down to the point when it happens. And be ready to be patient. Okay? Be ready to be patient at that moment. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ mentions in Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, that مر عليه بجنازة فقال مستريح ومستراح منه. قال يا رسول الله ما المستريح والمستراح منه؟ قال العبد المؤمن يستريح من نسب الدنيا وأداها إلى رحمة الله، والعبد الفاجر يستريح منه العباد والبلاد والشجر والدواب. There was once an occasion, there were two people, a janazah was passing by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, this person, he is either mustarih or he is mustarah min. This person, this dead, deceased, he is either mustarih or he is mustarah min, meaning he is either in comfort or others are receiving comfort away from him. Okay? So they said, what does this mean? Mustarih, mustarah min, right? So then he said, if this janazah is a janazah of a mu'min, a true mu'min, right? Then he is in comfort, right? He is in comfort and he is saved from the difficulties of this dunya. Because dunya full of difficulties, tiredness. You're tired, if you have to wake up for Fajr, you have to pray. Doesn't matter, right? This is sabr and iqa'at. You have to do it, right? You have to do things for the sake of Allah. You have to. Right? You have to be patient when something bad happens, But once you die, that's it. You'll be happy because you're patient. Right? So he is in comfort away from the tiredness of this dunya and the afflictions of this dunya, and now he has gone to the mercy of Allah. It is a believer, a pious believer, a good believer. But Abdul Fajr, if he's a sinful servant of Allah, right, يَسْتَرِيءُ مِنْهُ الْعِبَادِ, then other people are safe from him, are in comfort whilst he is not here. Right? If people are bad and they pass away, people are like, good riddance, it's gone. He's not causing no more problems now. Right? So this is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. But the main focus of this hadith was that if you're a good person, or whether you're not, you will face the nasab dunya wa adha. You face the problems of this world. Everyone will, and learn to accept this, that you will go for difficulties. How we respond to difficulties is what we need to train ourselves with, inshallah. Next. One more. Okay, the point point number 3 is understand that difficulties are a form of mercy. Okay, difficulties are a form of mercy because we don't know what Allah has planned for us through this difficulty. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ says again, hadith in Sahih Bukhari, that ما يصيب المسلم من نصب ولا وصب ولا هم ولا حزن ولا أذى ولا غم حتى الشوكة يشاكها إلا كفر الله بها من خطاياه. He says that a believer is not afflicted with any tiredness, any difficulty, any anxiety, any grief, right? Any problems at all, any sadness, any difficulty, to the extent if a person is pricked with a thorn, right? Right? If a person is pricked with a thorn, it's not so difficult, right? It doesn't hurt so much, right? But he practices patience from this. Allah uses these difficulties as a means of forgiving his sins. So look, a person who is going through difficulty, right? He's lost his job, he's sad. When you are sad, Allah rewards you. Allah forgives your sins. You have no sins, Allah rewards you. It's the mercy of Allah, isn't it? Allah is so merciful that in this dunya you go through difficulties. Whether you're Muslim, non-Muslim, you go through difficulties. But Allah is so merciful, right, that even when you go through difficulties, every second of that difficulty, Allah will do. Right? So be happy in this life. Be happy in this life. Okay? Number 4, Alladina, remember Allah upon sadness. If you are sad, what should you do? Remember Allah. Alladina amanu, وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. Those who believe, their hearts find tranquility and peace from the remembrance of Allah. Okay? And Allah says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. It's only through the remembrance of Allah the hearts find peace. Number 5, make the hereafter your goal of life. Right? Make the hereafter your goal of life, then you will not feel sad. If you make the akhirah your goal of life, you will not feel sad. If you make the dunya your goal of life, you will constantly feel sad. Because the dunya will disappoint you. The people of the dunya will disappoint you. But if you make akhirah your life, your goal of life, then you will never feel disappointed. Because even if something bad happens, you will suffer and you get reward for this. Okay? So listen to this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ mentions, this is Sahih authentic narration found in Ibn Majah. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kana dunya hamlahu, farraqa Allah alayhi amrahu, wa ja'ala faqrahu bayna 'aynayhi, wa lam ya'tihi min ad-dunya illa ma kutiba lahu, wa man kanat al-akhiratu niyyatuhu, jama'a Allah lahu amrahu, wa ja'ala ghinahu fi qalbihi, wa atathu ad-dunya wa hiya raghima." The Prophet ﷺ says that whoever's concern is this world, man kana dunya hamlahu, he's always thinking about the world. Okay? Allah will make his matters split up on him. Right? He will not keep it focused for him. Right? And he will keep his poverty right in front of his eyes. Right? And he will not gain the provisions of this world except that which Allah has written for him. Except for that which Allah has decreed for him. So what will happen is, he will always be worried about faqr. Poverty will always be in front of his eyes, meaning he's worried about becoming poor. Right? So he's working hard, he's studying hard, because his worry is what? I'm going to be poor. Is you understanding? The one who is always thinking about the dunya, his concern is faqr. When a person is focused, what's in front of his eyes? His dreams, his ambitions, his goal. So always thinking about that. Prophet says that the one whose dunya is his focus, then faqr, poverty is in front of his eyes. So he is studying, he's working, so that he can avoid faqr, so that he can avoid poverty, so that he can become rich. But the fact of the matter is, Rasulullah says, وَلَمْ يَأْتِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَا كُتِبَ لَهُ. Is it? His focus could be not being poor, but it doesn't matter, because he will only be given that much which Allah has decreed for him. Right? And then the Prophet says, وَمَنْ كَانَتِ الْآخِرَةِ نِيَّتَهُ. The one whose intention is always what? The akhirah. The hereafter, Allah will gather for him all his matters. That he doesn't have to go looking here and there. Allah will make things easy for him. وَجَعَلَ غِنَاهُ فِي قَلْبِهِ. Allah will put contentment in his heart. وَأَتَتْهُ الدُّنْيَا وَهِيَ رَاضِيَةٌ. Right? The dunya, the wealth of this dunya, everything will come at his feet, even though he doesn't want it. Right? When you have the akhirah in front of you. Okay? Lastly, have trust in Allah and have hope in the mercy of Allah. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said that when a person is makruh, he's going through difficult times, right? He should make this dua. Allahumma rahmataka arju, fala takilni ila nafsi tarfat ayn, wa aslih li sha'ni kulla la ilaha illa anta. So when we go through times of difficulty, two things, we should hope in the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal and have trust and tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will make things easy. Inna ma'al usri yusra, right? With the hardship comes ease. Last slide, right? Be happy with the decree of Allah and be patient. We've done these 2 points already. Then the last hadith is quickly translated. Prophet ﷺ said, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ إِنْ أَصَابَهُ سَرًّا شَكَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ وَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ ضَرًّاء صَبَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. Hadith is a Muslim where he says that the situation of a believer is amazing. Right? إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. That every matter of a believer is goodness for him. If he is afflicted with happiness, he is grateful to Allah. If he is afflicted with troubles and problems, he practices patience, and that is better for him. So let's live with this principle in life, that if good things come our way, we remain happy and we thank Allah for the good condition He has given us. And when we are afflicted with difficulty, then we practice patience. And Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions a narration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that if you want Allah to make matters easy for you at times of difficulty, in times of ease, make dua to Allah. You know, our condition is that we only make dua to Allah when there's a janazah. We only make dua to Allah when somebody is ill. You know, if you want Allah to be focused on you in times of hardship, then in times of ease, turn to Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives all the ability. The last slide is just any questions that anyone has about what we discussed today. Any questions? Is there any food?
Yeah.
Huh? No questions? Everyone's still hungry? Huh? Yes.
How much shaitan has control over our emotions?
Shaitan has no control over our emotions. Emotions are part of the heart, and you know he can try and influence them by wasawis, right? He can try and influence them through wasawis, right? By trying to make the situation such. He doesn't have control over it. Allah does. Okay, Shaitan doesn't have control. Allah is Untitled Chapter, right? Shaitan, he can try and influence and he will try to make us feel sad, and we shouldn't. We should always try and be happy, right? We should always remain happy, because this still gives us energy to live. Okay? Yes? Yes?
Yes. I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you're a very kind soul, like you're talking about family relatives, how can you approach a delicate situation where the stepmom's grandma is very old?
Yeah.
She never asks you, they never say, how are you? How are you doing? You are always the one tracking the conversation saying, is everything okay with you?
Yeah.
How do you approach the situation in a delicate manner, even though you know they're very rude towards you? How do you?
So this, like I mentioned before, this is very common. We don't have control over other people or the way they would respond to us. But we have control over our own sayings and our own actions, and how we respond to other people's sayings and actions. Right? So we should keep continuing to be good to people. Right? despite how they respond.
Even if they keep.
Even if they keep, because family at the end of the day, family at the end of the day means a lot. Right? Now, the Prophet ﷺ very briefly explained it. He said, ليس الواصل بالمكافئ ولكن الواصل الذي إذا قطعت رحمه وصلها. He said that a wasil, the one who maintains ties, is not the one who is mukafi. Mukafi means that if you're nice to me, I be nice back. Or if you're bad to me, then, things like this. It's not, there's no mukafa over here. The one who maintains ties is the one that when you break ties with me, then I should be the one coming back and fixing the tie. Are you understanding? So the Prophet ﷺ teaches us that, it's not about, when it comes to family relations, it's not that he was bad to me, so now I either respond back bad or I ignore that person. No, the response should always be that you are trying to maintain the tie, you're trying to rectify it, you're trying to be good to them. You continue to do this. Any of the sisters have questions? No? Any questions? Excellent. That means everyone's soaked in everything. So I think Hamza has prepared the food for the brothers downstairs, and for the sisters, the food will be in the kitchen. So you can ask everyone to join me downstairs. Everyone can do it downstairs and we can have some pizza.
Çok güzel.